Andre, this question is about entitlement programs, or what I like to call entitlement programs. For example, individuals and companies are using offshore accounts as tax havens. A practice called transfer pricing shifts corporate profits out of the United States, hence bypassing taxation. Another example is an obscure IRS rule that says that besides salary and bonuses, a hedge fund manager is taxed at only 15% for her share of the profit earnings on the assets she manages. These entitlements rob our government of tens of billions of dollars each year, according to a study by the Congressional Research Service. What would you do about these entitlement programs? Andre?
As far as the entitlement programs, when you alluded to transfer pricing, in corporation that's transferring their profits offshore to escape paying their fair share of taxes, just is doing an injustice to the American people. And with that, that's where we really have to close the tax legislation loopholes, if you will, that allow them to do such things. We have to have a standard that's simple, direct, and straight to the point. One that's fair across the board. Your average taxpayer does not have that capability. They couldn't afford to do something like that, nor could they afford the legal fees associated with trying to clarify or submit the forms required to file their taxes if they were doing so. So what I would say is, number one, simplify the tax code. That's going to create an environment or basically a platform that says, hey, look, you're going to have to pay your fair share of taxes like everyone else. If a corporation is shifting their profits offshore, then I would charge them at what I would call an illegal, an alien corporation or a foreign corporation, excuse me, at the same rate that I would charge a tax a foreign corporation. What that's going to imply is that if, just like when I first came to New York, I wasn't incorporated in New York, so I was charged a higher rate of tax because I was considered a foreign corporation in New York. However, if it's an overseas corporation, you're actually taxed at an even higher rate, and that's exactly what I would tax that corporation at. If you're trying to bypass our tax code, you're going to have to pay to do so. And I don't think that's fair to the American people if we don't enforce the rules. The other thing, is like I said, once I simplify the tax code and I lower their tax rate to 12%, that's going to give them more of an incentive to keep their tax dollars here.
All right.
We also implemented another standard that says if you'll take part in our premium payment program for healthcare, we're lowering it to 9%.
Okay.
So they really don't have a leg to stand on in diverting their funds over or offshore.
So Harry, why don't you expand on that or rebut?
Well, I would just say that, first off, those generous provisions that have been written into the tax code, which is a 16,000-page document written by lobbyists that has been approved by the Congress, the president doesn't have any authority to do anything with that other than live with it. Because the way our government is set up right now, the lobbyists run it. And that's why we're bankrupt and getting more so every day. That's why if we don't have this democracy amendment that puts the majority of citizens in charge of the federal government, only then will that 16,000-page tax code become one half of one page. When you put the majority of citizens in charge. And that would make lobbying illegal, because lobbying is a nice word for bribery. And our government is run on bribery. It's money is the mother's milk of our political system. And that's what's wrong. What we're doing is serving the interests of super wealthy individuals and corporations.
Harry, okay. JL, you want to expand on these entitlement programs?
Yes, simply that by changing the monetary system, we would have any funds related to Federal Reserve funds returned to the United States, exchanged for congressional dollars, and put to work creating jobs at a tax break, which would be zero for the first 30 days, jobs training, whatever they feel like doing. They, meaning the wealthy individuals, the Harlequin Romance, which is one of those Switzerland companies, by the way. I know that because my wife writes books and has a contract with them. And just exchange that money. And you've got 30, 60, 90 days, and it's worthless. And it's, if they want to put it to work, they pay no tax, no trade tax, no exchange tax. And if they put their company under an omnibus equity incentive stock program, which would create an umbrella of companies where they would have roughly 200 employees, making 40, 50,000 a year on average, it would grow this economy. It would use their money without harming them. They would make money. They would be happy with it.
Okay, and Andre, do you want to rebut on that? You have 30 seconds.
Quickly. Yes, listen, lobbying should be illegal. You're right. But what I will say is this. The president does have some capability in doing this, and that's actually getting the American people to stand behind him. And if we can do that, then yes, you can move Congress to do anything you want them to do. And I agree, we have to roll back legislation. But as I've said before, we have to roll back the legislation that's bloating the Congress with that power. If we don't do that, then the Congress will continue to perform as they perform. The status quo will stay in place.
Okay.
But we have to remove that legislation first.
All right, thank you.